So recently I went to a thrift store and I found this picture frame, which I gotta say is one of the most amazing things I've ever found at a thrift store. Like, at the bottom here, it's just a normal plain frame, but at the top, if you can see, it's got these little figurines, like, and they're made to look like bird-themed hedges. It's plastic that's textured like a hedge, and two of them are cut into bird shapes. Like, they're these really fluffy, adorable birds, and they're really detailed. They look so good. I was thrilled to find this. It only cost me like €1, and I look forward to using this so much. However, despite how much I like this frame, I think it has one fatal flaw, and that is the fact that it's too tame. Like, these bird hedges are awesome, but the rest of the frame just looks like something plain and boring that you would pick up at IKEA. So what I want to do is take this wonderful hedge theme and expand it to every aspect of this frame. I want to sculpt the frame so that it looks like a nice summery hedge, maybe with some little bugs in there or something sweet like that. And I want to create a painting to fill this frame that will be of some bird peeking through a hedge, like maybe a little sparrow or something. And I think the end result would look really, really nice. Like, it would be this little hedge that you can put up on your desk that has this little hidden bird that's just staring at you from the shadows. I think that would be so cute, and I'm so excited to see the end result. So without further ado, let's get started. So I started by applying a layer of foam clay to the frame. This was my first time using foam clay, so I wasn't quite sure how to go about it, and I ended up putting a layer of glue underneath it to make sure that it sticks. It might have been completely unnecessary, but I wasn't sure if just water as glue was gonna be enough. After that, I let it dry, and then I started shaping the leaves. For this, I used a combination of a scalpel and a Dremel. The scalpel I used for getting in the rough shapes, and the Dremel for refining the leaves and smoothing out the surfaces. To be honest, from the videos I'd seen, I thought this was going to be a bit easier and turn out more refined, but it was a bit difficult to not just like completely mow down the foam using the Dremel. So yeah, it was an interesting experience, but in the end I would say I'm happy with how it turned out, even if it wasn't exactly what I was going for. After this, I sealed the frame using Mod Podge, which is a type of glue. The point of this is to close all the little holes in the foam to make sure that the paint doesn't just soak into them later. Okay, I'm done with the base of the frame now, which means that now the only thing that's left to do is the detailing. I want to add some more loose leaves to make this look a bit more fluffy, because it's a bit, I don't know, like stiff right now. And I also want to make some bugs that are crawling through this hedge. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing next, and after that we can move on to painting. For the leaves, I used this air drying clay that I had lying around. It also feels similar to the foam clay, but it's a bit tougher, and what I did was I just rolled this clay out evenly, and then I pressed a leaf into the clay to get the shape that I wanted, and I cut the leaves out using scissors. I made a bunch of these little leaves so that I can stick them all over the frame later. I made the insects out of the same material. In the case of the ladybug, I just rolled out a little ball of it, and then I shaped the legs out of wire. I used 2 pliers to do this, and I just tried to follow the shape that I saw in the reference image. It's not perfect, but I think it looks decent enough. You can't see it here, but I also used some glue to glue these wires in place so that they don't just fall out of the clay. I also tried to add a bit of a head shape to the ladybug. I don't know if I succeeded, but I tried. The other insect I made was a butterfly. The butterfly I made is supposed to be some type of brimstone butterfly. I saw these flying around a lot as a kid, which is why they're kind of nostalgic to me. They're pretty simple butterflies, but I think they have a fun and happy color. They make me think of summer. For the butterfly, I made a bit of a paper template so that I could get both sides of the wings to be symmetrical. Then I glued them to the body. I had to make a bit of a makeshift stand for it so that they would dry at an angle. And now that the details are done, we can move on to painting the frame. I painted it using some cheap acrylic paints I had lying around. And here you can see me trying to color match the color of the bird hedges because I didn't want to overpaint them completely. It was a bit of a pain because first acrylic dries a different color. What I did is I just slid a small dab of it on the hedge and then I went and dried it with my blow dryer to check if the finished color, like the dried color, actually fit the base color, and once it did, I just moved on to painting the whole frame. And then of course I also painted all the little leaves. This was super annoying because I had to paint them with 3 layers to get the paint to actually be opaque. And I could only paint one side at a time because obviously they're lying on the other side and it can't be wet, which means that, this took me a while. After applying several coats of paint and letting them dry, I just mixed a slightly darker shade of green and I drew the veins on the leaves. Then it's time for the more fun part, which is painting the insects. Thankfully they're smaller, so I don't need to mix as much paint to cover them, and it's just fun seeing them come to life. The last step was to apply a dark backwash to create a bit more 3D dimension, and also to manage the hedges at the top because it looked like that had also been done to them. Now that the frame is done, we can move on to the painting. I decided to go with a dunnock, also known as hedge sparrow, as the subject for this painting because I think the fact that it literally has hedge in its common name is funny. I think that's not even the common thing to call it, but it can be called a hedge sparrow, which, makes it fitting for this painting in my opinion. Now, for some reason, it's really hard to find reference images of birds in hedges. The only thing I could really find was baby birds, like nests in hedges. So I just had to improvise a bit and try to figure out how to draw the hedge around this bird myself. I think it turned out okay. It's a bit more pattern-like and less realistic, but I think it still looks nice. Try to use different colors for different leaves to make it look a bit more interesting. And I added a lot of blue in the shadows because I think blue shadows on green stuff always look nice. The hedge sparrow itself is a somewhat boring looking bird. It's one of those gray/brown ones. So, it wouldn't stand out if you saw it outside, but I think those birds are lovely too. As long as it's a small bird, I like it. I think it also actually kind of helps it blend into the background, which actually goes with the theme quite well. I want this to be a secretive little bird that's peeking at you from its hiding spot, so the fact that it doesn't stand out immediately is actually kind of nice. It is the subject of the painting though, so I try to make it stand out just a little bit by exaggerating the rim lighting on the beak, on the face of the bird. And I also made the background around it a bit more dark to make its silhouette stand out more. I thought the leaves looked a bit too flat, so I went back and added some reflected light on them. This is also kind of not realistic painting, but more of a pattern. And here I also tried to guide the focus towards the bird. The highlight colors I picked for the leaves around the bird are more of a contrast to the base color than the colors I went with in the borders. Like, I chose really bright highlights in the middle, and on the outside the highlights are a bit more subdued. I did this because the eye is naturally drawn to contrast, so I thought it would guide the gaze towards that area. Anyway, that's it, so now let's go and put all of this stuff together. And there you have it, a painting that is all hedge, with a little bird pal peeking at you from inside. Please like and subscribe, yada yada.